Welcome to a special bonus minisode of Digging for Kryptonite, a Superman fan journey. I am your host, Anthony Desiato. Joining me to discuss the CW Superman and Lois series, comic book artist V Ken Marion. Welcome.
Hey Anthony, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Look, I wasn't planning on doing any more episodes on Superman and Lois for at least a little while, but we had a very interesting text exchange over the past couple of days. Do you want to let people in on what happened?
Well, yeah, because I heard on the week before you said you were good, or no, not the week before. You did that preview episode where you and Mike talked about how like you saw the trailer and you were gonna watch the show, and I was like, oh, cool, a new Superman show. Yeah, I'll check it out, whatever. And then when it aired, because I don't have cable, I watch everything online, so I just totally forgot about it. And then when I saw you started posting about it, I was like, oh yeah, that show came out. And then I was on YouTube and I saw the first 5-minute clip of that like intro, and I was like, whoa, this looks bad. Like I was immediately turned off. Like that golden age shot of Super. I know you and Mike, because I listened to your episode about it, and you and Mike both liked it, but I was watching it with Laura and we were both like, ooh, the costume looks real bad. Like I was like, this does not look good. Like I'm like, holy crap. Like how could, like, I thought the effects of the whole first 5 minutes just weren't doing it. And I was like, oh, and so I texted you and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to watch this. That really looked terrible. And you were like, no, it's a good, oh, and in that first 5 minutes when they set up the kids as this kid, I thought like, I just like cringed with it. I was like, whoa, this is, I don't know about this. But then you told me it was good. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Cut to like 5 days later, I kept putting it off. And today, because I knew we were talking, I was like, oh, I'll watch the first episode today. And almost immediately after that first 5 minutes ends, I'm like, whoa, it's got real good. And then all of us, the rest of the show, amazing. And then I went to episode 2 and I was like, the show is amazing. And I thought that like the kids that I thought was going to be annoying, like great story with the kids, like, him as a dad again. I thought him as a dad was going to be so like cringy and boring, but no, it was awesome. And in his real suit that he wears looks awesome, and everything looks like Man of Steel. I don't know, man. I was so down with it. Like, I'm so happy you told me to watch it because I think it's really friggin' good. It's what I've wanted for a superhero property for a really long time. Like, I'm super happy with it.
Honestly, I was so happy when I got your text today because, you know, it's funny. You and I, and we acknowledged this in our earlier exchange. It's like, usually, and listeners have heard this, usually you and I are pretty much on the same page when it comes to this stuff. And I think we probably both had the same reaction where you were probably like, why does he like this so much? And I'm over here, I'm like, why doesn't he like it? So I'm really glad that you stuck it out, and I'm glad it won you over, and that's great. And Steph and I watched the second episode, and so, she and I talked about it, but I certainly haven't podcasted about episode 2, so I thought maybe we could kind of debrief on that. But I mean, was there anything else? Because again, I know you said you heard the episode that we did on the pilot. Was there anything else about the pilot that they wanted to share before we talk a little bit about episode 2?
I mean, you guys hit on almost everything, I thought. Even you said your one gripe with the show, my one gripe with the show would be like, I think he doesn't need the padding in the suit. Like, because he's like a pretty in shape dude. Like, I don't think they needed to put that because it looks kind of awkward.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as bad as I feel like the Golden Age one looked really bad with the padding. It wasn't so much the costume. It was the fact that he looked so padded out in it that I was like, whoa, like that's kind of like, that's what my reaction was from that and the CG PT Cruiser. But yeah, dude, the show's, and I love I think you mentioned that it was Friday Night Lights version of Superman, and that's what hooked me because I really like that show. So I was like, dude, this totally is. Like, I love the realism, like the realism, how the town feels, like the way, and dude, so many of like the fight scenes use like Man of Steel-esque like shots. Did you notice that? Like how they like zoom in close and zoom out when he's like flying and stuff. Really, really cool stuff. Like, if anyone's seen a trailer and think that it might not be for them, but they love Superman, you should totally check this show, at least the first episode, and watch the whole thing all the way through, because it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know how many times in that other podcast I said that I was surprised by the show, but it was just like over and over. I was like, wow, like this is really good.
Dude, it made me feel, not that it tonally is the same as Smallville, because it's not, but it has the same level of earnestness and like truth in like what it's showing, whereas like the other CW shows don't really have that. Like the other CW shows are always kind of like winking and nodding at the camera and kind of like being like, isn't this kind of silly? It's superheroes, like they have that kind of like vibe to them, where this has that like grounded real, like this could happen in our world, like kind of like how Smallville did, and then how you and I had talked about that when we talked about Smallville and what we missed about the modern CW shows. So this brought me right back to it, man. Like I was like, this show is good. Like it's real good.
That's the thing. Like I can't believe that, because as I've discussed, right, I was worried that this was going to step on the toes of Smallville, and they managed to set the show in Smallville, but really do their own thing with it and make it just as interesting, but in a different way. I mean, like this version of Smallville, way different than than what we saw before, but it's so interesting. Yeah, and going back to the padding, yeah, that's the thing. And just to clarify, like I'm fine with no padding, and I guess again, I agree with you. I think he's in good. I think he's in good shape, and even if he were, look. Henry Cavill is a whole other category. He doesn't have to have that level of, of physicality. So even if he is a slightly more slender, that's fine. But it's just the padding. It just maybe I'm sure they'll continue to tweak it, and maybe they'll strike more of a balance. And actually, I'm glad to hear that from you because as an artist, as someone who's like really dialed into the visuals of it. I'm not crazy, right? Like the proportions look like it just looks.
No, it's weird. It's really weird. Yeah, no, he like his shoulders look too big for his body, like and when he moves you can tell it's like not how muscles would be, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they're kind of striking that balance. Like maybe they could do straight tights like Christopher Reeve style on them. Maybe that would look weird, I don't know, but like definitely the Golden Age one was like super padded looking. I think it's maybe because there wasn't texture on it or something, it was just flat, maybe that's why it looked that way. But yeah, you weren't crazy about that, but like there's something, oh man, it was on the tip of my tongue when you were talking before, and now I can't remember what it was. But dude, Tyler Hoechlin, awesome Superman. That's what I was gonna say. Like, awesome Superman. Like because I never watched Supergirl and I just saw brief clips of him on the Crisis crossovers and stuff. So I never really got like to see like him as Clark Kent Superman. He's awesome, so good.
He is, and I think that. Because I was okay with his Superman before, but this show really won me over. But I think with this, he has so much more to do. Because it's like when he was on Supergirl and the crossovers, there just wasn't as much space to really dig into the character, and there wasn't. Yeah. Not that there were no stakes or emotions or anything like that, but what he's dealing with here, and it's so grounded. I mean, between the death of his mother to all the issues with his kids and the relocating, like. There's just so much to mine there, and so he's getting to play a lot of different aspects of the character. So yeah, I'm glad you're a fan. Yeah, I'm fully on board with him as Clark and Superman.
Yeah, dude, the whole cast though, the Lois, I really like the Lois as well. I know you said you were a little iffy on her, but I liked her. Like the TV Loises, I think I like. As of now, I think I might like the TV Loises, like the Smallville one and the Terry Hatcher one. But I like this one better than Amy Adams and Margot Kidder and who was Lois?
Oh, Kate Bosworth. Yeah,
Kate Bosworth. Yeah. So I think she's better than most of the movie Loises. So
interesting. Yeah, I don't know exactly where I would rank her. Definitely above Kate Bosworth. Amy Adams. I didn't love her Lois the first time around, but upon the rewatch, I really came around on her. I will say with Elizabeth Tulloch on Superman and Lois, I did enjoy her more in the second episode. And so I guess kind of on that note, we can jump into episode 2, which, again, I wasn't planning on podcasting about, so this is great. I felt that it really kept up and it maintained the level of quality that we saw from the pilot. I didn't feel like there was a drop-off. What were your thoughts on episode 2?
No, yeah, I love when they went to the barbecue. I thought that whole scene was just great. Like, and it was like subtly funny too. Like when you see Kyle, who's like you and Mike were talking about, he's not a bad dude, but he's kind of a dick, and so like you kind of want to hate him, right? And like when they look out the window and Kyle's like grilling and like he's like playing air guitar on his spatula and his sunglasses are on the back of his head, I was just starting to die laughing because like I know that dude, you know what I mean? like so it's just so funny.
And the guy makes great ribs. I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
yeah.
even as he's giving Lois a hard time, he gives her those ribs, and she's like, "Yeah, they were really good." I think it's a testament to the show that when Clark got pulled away and he had to leave the barbecue, and we followed him on his adventure, I was like, I want to go back to the barbecue. Like I was more interested in that, which I think is a testament to how strong the show is and how grounded that, like, the superhero stuff is great and it's fun, but they've really got this whole other piece of it that I think is, certainly way stronger than we see in a lot of the, CW fare usually.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the kids, dude, his sons, I thought I was going to like hate those like teenage kids in the show, but they actually add a really good like layer to the show, and they're not annoying. Neither of them are annoying. They're like really well done, well acted characters, and yeah, like props to them, because like I did not think I was gonna like those characters at all, and like they definitely like add like the family like grounding to the show that like it almost feels like the OC, or like one of those like family shows, like you said, Friday Night Lights. Like it's interesting how they did it. Very well done.
The one thing I didn't love, their version of Jor-El would probably rank pretty low on my list. Like it was okay. I don't know. What did you think of their Jor-El?
He seemed a little mean. Did you notice that? He seemed kind of like a dick, which I was like, oh, I mean, he's an AI program, so I guess. But yeah, I didn't love that version of Jor-El.
I guess I feel like, obviously we spent 10 years, well, not the full 10 years, but most of the run of Smallville with a very harsh AI disembodied voice, right? And so that's one incarnation of Jor-El that I'm very comfortable with. The very disapproving, judgmental, distant, voice. And then in the Snyder movies, we got my favorite version of Jor-El with Russell Crowe's depiction, where, he was strong, but also warm and paternal. And for me, just hit all the right notes. This Jor-El was like somewhere in between. Like he definitely wasn't the harsh Smallville Jor-El, but he was no Russell Crowe.
Well, I mean, yeah, Russell Crowe, the Academy Award-winning actor. Yeah. But like, do you ever think it's weird that like in the comics, like if you think about it, like they always make Jor-El really old in these movies, and if you think about it, like, shouldn't Jor-El be roughly Superman's age? Like, because like when he sent Superman off, like in the comics, he's drawn almost exactly like Superman. So it's like, I remember before you told me you wanted Tom Welling to come back to play Jor-El. He'd be a good Jor-El. And for this show, man, I wish it was Tom Welling as Jor-El.
Yeah, that would be cool. So I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, the one thing I wanted to talk to you about episode 1. Remember when he was telling Jordan, he's like, "Oh, did I tell you about when I was a freshman and they taped me to the tractor or something?" I wish he said they strung me up in a cornfield, like, because that would have been a nice little nod to Smallville, because I feel like it exists in this weird like world where like if you want to in your head, you can connect those lines. Like obviously it's not, but I'm saying like, but if you wanted to, it doesn't contradict Smallville that much. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like in theory, the character that Tom Welling played could grow up to be this guy. Yes. You know what I mean?
No, I had the same thought, and I had the exact same thought about that moment when he started to talk about that memory, and I was like, "Oh, are they going to talk about the cornfield?" But no, but no, I think you're right, and even more so, kind of knowing where they left, even though I wasn't a fan of this, but where they left our Clark and Lois from Smallville in Crisis, it's like, yeah, I mean, you really can, like you said, like connect those dots and kind of view it in that context. Again, not a one-to-one. We know it's not literally the same continuity, but yeah, it definitely feels like a spiritual successor, in a big way.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, the second episode was cool. I liked the stuff with Clark and Jordan even though I didn't love the Jor-El, but I liked the stuff at the Fortress. I love the barbecue was great. You know what was funny though, and I guess I'm going to continue to defend Kyle because, when Lois confronts Morgan Edge at the town meeting, right? She doesn't want him coming into the town and buying up these businesses and converting the mines and all this stuff. And her big charge against him is like, when you did this in that other town, your employment estimates were off by 50%. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I mean, that's not great. But at the same time, to Kyle's point, it's like, well, 50% is better than no jobs.
Nothing.
So, and again, we know from the comics and the other shows, like we know Morgan Edge is a bad guy and I know more will come out, but just based on what they've given us so far, I was kind of like, I don't know, Kyle's kind of right. Like if that's the worst thing about this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, because we know Morgan Edge is a real dirtbag, you know. But like, yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to do some real story hijinks to like to show Lois is right. Because like right now, it's like it just looks like she's like not just like, and the way that he even like sets that up is the town kind of turns against her too. Like in that the way he like phrases it, you know, at the end, and everyone's like, "Oh, Lois, like, what are you doing? Big city person coming in here ruining everything," you know. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, because I mean, and he basically threatens like, well, maybe this isn't the right town, for me to come in and put money into.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought that was funny. It was funny to me, the scene where Sam confronts Clark out on the front porch and is like really taking him to task for these recent choices that he's made with his family. And I just thought to myself, it's like, Clark is such a good guy, because I feel like if that were me, my eyes would get red. I would flash just like a hint of heat vision. I'd be like, you know who you're talking to, right? It's like,
yeah. I mean, I do like that him and Sam aren't like they're definitely antagonistic a little bit, but they're not like antagonists to each other, right? Like he's still at the end of the day is like, yeah, I'm your father-in-law, Clark, and like we're still on the same side. Like I actually did like that added I know you talked about it in the other podcast, but that added like familiarity between them, where like Sam may not like love hanging out with Clark, right? But like at the end of the day, he's like, yeah, well, he's family now. So like I did appreciate that. That was cool.
Yes.
Do you think that Jordan's gonna become Superboy? Like, do you think they're gonna get that far or no?
It's hard to say. If this were any other Arrowverse show, I would say, oh yeah, no doubt, where they all become superheroes. On this show, I mean, probably, but would they go so far as to like have him in a costume? I mean, I don't know. And again, this is, I think, to the show's credit, I really don't know what path they'll take with the boys. I mean, I'm assuming that, for right now, I think it is a very interesting dynamic for, Jonathan, the popular athletic one who everything always went right for. He's struggling now, and he's the one without the powers. I do think, though, we will find that he does have some sort of powers, down the line.
Yeah.
When they get to that point, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Well, see, I don't know. I mean, do you think one of them will go good and one of them will go bad? Like, because I feel like that's a very obvious path they could take, but I hope that doesn't happen. Like, I hope they don't do that, but
yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, because like maybe Jonathan would be the one that would go bad. I mean, based off these first two episodes, but like he also seems so like chill. Like it's weird because like after how the first episode ended, I thought going into episode 2 it was gonna be like Jonathan was gonna be throwing hissy fits and like be all pissed that he has to move to a small town and like, but they didn't really. I mean, there's a little bit of that, like, but it wasn't like insanely over the top, right? It was still like he understood, like he had like a rational head. It wasn't just like, oh, my life sucks, you took me away from all my friends. Like that's what I thought it was going to be, and like it wasn't that at all. So like I'm actually really impressed with how they're handling that, because I feel like there is a super easy way this show could have been horrible, right? Like just from the premise of it, and like it's so good that like I'm just happy for everyone involved with it, like making such a good show,
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I think that the teen characters in particular would have been real easy to to dislike, but they did a nice job, and I think the casting is spot on, and I really do like, and you saw even more moments, I think, in this episode of the brotherly bond, between the two of them, and that even though they are very different, they're not at each other's throats, and they are a family. I thought that was nice. What do you think of Captain Luthor?
I'm excited, dude. I'm really excited because he's tough. He's like, he's the Lex that I've always wanted to see in these movies, where he actually puts on a suit and fights him hand to hand. Like we've always talked about that before. Like I love that they're going for that version of Lex that we're very familiar with in the comics, but like has never been adapted to in live action. So and it looks like he's not the megalomaniacal Lex like from our Earth either. He's like the Alexander Luthor from like the world where all the superheroes are bad, and he's like the good guy. Like I mean, as we know of so far, right? So like I think that's cool, and I think that's gonna. I assume what's gonna happen is that there's gonna be a bigger threat, and they're eventually gonna see eye to eye and maybe like team up or become friends later on. Like I assume that's what's gonna happen, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
it is super interesting. I'm with you, and I think because I think the way he's been presented so far, I mean, yeah, he's only doing this because of what he saw his Superman do on his Earth, and so,
Hmm.
but assuming he is, a quote unquote good guy and he has integrity, I would imagine that the more time he spends in this world and the more interaction he has with our Clark, that I mean, it would be irrational if he continued this vendetta at a certain point, right?
Hmm.
Unless,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Clark inadvertently does something that ends up hurting him on this world, and then it gives him a whole new motivation. I don't know, but I think your speculation makes a lot of sense, and I think that would be really cool to see them team up like that. And we got the black
Yeah.
costume again.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like 2 weeks before the Snyder Cut.
There's a little bit of me that's like, really? Like, you knew this was coming. Like, but I mean, we've seen Tyler Hoechlin in the black costume before in the Elseworlds crossover a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, I
However.
didn't
So,
see it. Yeah.
so they have done that before. But yeah, that was cool. And I mean, it certainly gives Captain Luthor a compelling motivation. It's like, yeah, you get it. If you saw this same guy or a version of this guy destroy your world, you probably wouldn't take any chances on your new one either.
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Yeah, two thumbs up, man, all
good,
around. Like,
good.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, but do you still feel the same way about that opening montage, or has your opinion on that changed?
I don't think. Okay, it's weird because like I know you and Mike really liked it. Well, actually, I don't. You didn't really wax on that much about it, so I don't know how your feelings are. But Mike really liked it. So like obviously, for some people, it really worked. I still think it. For me personally, I don't think it's a very good representation of the show. Like. Because it just felt so corny compared to the rest of the show, like the tone I just felt was so off. But like I get like they were trying to like throw the Superman origin really quick out there, so like with the voiceover and everything, like I don't know, yeah. I would say that if you're listening to this, you like Superman, and you were like me and you saw that 5 minutes on YouTube and thought it wasn't going to be good, you should watch the first episode because I thought the whole thing was really freaking good.
Yeah.
And really well acted too, like really good acting.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing but good things to say about it. Oh, they well, this, I mean, it affects you, but it wouldn't change anything that you do. So you only watch through the app, right? The CW app.
So I watched it on the CW's website.
Okay. So they announced, I think just yesterday or today, as of this recording, that they are going to be, from episode 2 on, they're going to be putting up extended versions on their website and on the CW app. So I guess.
Oh, cool! Yeah, that must have seen what I saw.
And I don't know,
then, yeah.
I don't know the extent of it. I don't know if it's like a few seconds or full scenes or what. But I think it's an interesting choice. I guess they're really trying to drive people to the app is the main thing that I can think of. But I think that's, as much as I look forward to it and I would want to watch it live on Tuesday night, I think I'll probably just wait till Wednesday and watch it on the app and watch the extended, because it's more important to me that I see all the footage.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then watching it 2 days in a row could probably be like cumbersome.
I mean,
too,
look, I did that with the pilot. I mean, I watched the
twice.
pilot twice in like 3 days, but I don't think I like the show. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
a little bit much.
Yeah.
But
Still have the time, man. Like every week to do that, like cram it in. Yeah.
And then they also announced that after the 5th episode, it's going on hiatus because they had a production interruption because of a positive COVID case, I think. So they fell behind a little bit, but so yeah, there's going to be a hiatus after episode 5, and that's when Supergirl returns, and then it'll be back in, I think, May. So.
Oh, I want to ask you. So is this? I didn't watch. Like, I haven't seen any of the CW shows for like the last 3 years. So, like, how does this fit in continuity wise with the other shows?
That's kind of an open question.
Like,
a lot of people have been speculating about that because. We've seen a version of Morgan Edge on the show before, different actor. We've had a different actor playing Sam Lane. I don't know. I mean,
wait. So do you mean like in Supergirl, or do you mean like interacting with the Superman? Or both?
Well, I guess technically just in Supergirl, not interacting with the Superman. But this Superman interacted with that Supergirl, so they've like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no, on Supergirl, did he have kids? Like, was that part of the character that they said he had teenagers?
So and it's been a while. I have to rewatch this, but he and Lois had a baby on Argo a season or 2 seasons ago. A season ago, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think
one baby.
One baby. So again, my memory of this is a little fuzzy. I would really have to go back. But basically, they did have a child together on Argo. It was one child, one son. But then after Crisis, at the end of Crisis, Clark was flying home, and Lois called him, and she was like, "Oh, the boys are asking for you," or something like that. And he was like, "The boys?" Or the twins, or whatever it was. So like we knew as a result of Crisis, things changed.
Okay.
But exactly how this fits, I mean, I don't have a great answer because I really don't know. I think it's kind of unclear. I mean, if they said that this is just a separate Earth within the multiverse,
yeah,
that would make sense, and that might actually be the cleanest way of doing this, to be honest.
Yeah, because I was actually wondering if they were going to have like Barry Allen come in for like an episode or whatever, and I feel like so tonally wouldn't work. Like if they tried crossing them over, so like I kind of hope they keep it, like unless whoever they brought over, like say like Barry Allen came over, he would have to then match the energy of this show, right? So wouldn't we have like Cisco and all of them, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it would have to be like a very grounded version of it, which could be cool. Like if you see like a different version of these CW characters, but like I kind of hope they just keep it separate.
Well, Diggle's coming in very shortly, so we're going to get our first test of this, and maybe we'll get a sense of exactly where this falls. Again, my understanding is that it is within the Arrowverse, but any changes that we're seeing are likely a result of Crisis or just a decision to recast, I suppose.
But if you're saying that he had a baby during Supergirl, does this take place like 15 years like after that?
No, I mean, I guess if you were trying to reconcile it, I guess you could say that as a result of reality / timeline changes within Crisis, they had twins much earlier than originally.
Okay.
Again, that's my, if I were trying to come up with an explanation, I mean, I really don't know. Again, the more separate they keep it, for me, the better.
Yeah, I agree. What if John Diggle comes in and he's like, just like a soldier? Like he had nothing to do. Like that might be what they do. It might just be a completely separate.
And that might be how they tell us that. That might be that, and then maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's why it's like we'll bring in Diggle. It'll be real clear then that this is not, this is not in the Arrowverse. That could very well be. So, well,
cool.
Good. I'm glad you're on board. I'm glad you enjoyed. I hope everyone else continues to watch and enjoy Superman and Lois. I'm sure. With you, with Mike, I'm sure that we'll have some more podcast discussions about this. I can't help myself, I guess. So, so thank you, Ken, and thank you to everyone for checking out this minisode. Keep tuning in to Digging for Kryptonite, and remember, it's about what you do. It's about action.